So this is how you go about making a 24-step watercolor color wheel. The reason we're doing 24 steps is we're using a cool and a warm yellow, a cool and a warm blue, and a cool and a warm red. So rather than a standard 12-step color wheel, we're going to create a 24-step color wheel. So now that my paper has been stretched and is dry, I took my ruler and I found the corner points from what I can see along the blue packing tape, and I drew an X through the center, corner to corner, and I was able to find my center point. Once you find your center point, go ahead and use your compass and create an outer circle and then an inner circle. Once you've created the outer circle and the inner circle, go ahead and measure off 24 steps. The way you want to do that is you're going to break each quadrant into 6 steps. So you can put a line through the vertical and horizontal axis, and then just for the sake of ease, you can use a protractor if you want to be an exact. If you use a protractor, you can check 45 degrees and break this into increments of 1/6, or for the sake of speed, you can eyeball it if you don't have a protractor. These are not exactly broken into perfect shapes, but what I did is I took each quadrant and broke them into thirds, and then using my ruler, making sure that the straight edge was always aligned with the center of the circle, I went ahead and sketched in each of my little quadrants. They're not going to be exact, but they're eyeballed to be about 6 for every quarter, 3 for every eighth, and that will give you 24 quadrants. Okay, so what I'm going to start with is I'm going to use my round brush, and I'm going to add water. I'm going to start with my cad yellow. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking some water and just putting a few drops, 1, 2, 3 drops onto the cad yellow. That will get that nice and wet. And I'm going to get my lemon yellow ready. So the cad yellow is your warm yellow, and the lemon yellow, I'm always cleaning my brush. Keep in mind that I'm wetting and cleaning the brush between each application if I get paint on it. Now I'm going to wet the lemon yellow. I'm going to go in, put 3 drops on the lemon yellow. So in the Winsor kit, in the Winsor Newton Professional 12 half pan kit, we have Winsor yellow and lemon yellow. The Winsor yellow is warmer. So once I get my watercolors wet, give them a chance to get damp. Once again, you can do this with tube paint if you'd like. I'll start with my cad yellow. I'm going to make a puddle of cad yellow here. And then I want to slowly add water to that puddle. So I'm going to start with, I'm going to allow this yellow mixture in the center to be a mixture of the lemon yellow and the cad yellow, and I'll start my cad yellow right over here. So I've got my cad yellow, And I'm just going to give it I'm going to break this into 3 different values. This would be my dark value. Then I'm going to add water to that puddle. So I'm desaturating my color with water. And then this is going to be lighter. This will be my mid-tone yellow. Once again, you can pick up paint with your brush if there's too much. We did go over a little. I can pick that up with if you go over a line, you could just pick up the edge with your brush or your paper towel. So then this will be my medium yellow. And now I'm going to even add more water. Now it's very thin. And this would be my light yellow. It's very thin yellow at the bottom. You can let those dry. And I'm going to start working with my lemon yellow. I'm going to move over into the pan right next to the cad yellow. I'm going to make sure I get a lot of paint in that pan. And I'm leaving a space because this space will be a mixture between the cad yellow and the lemon yellow. So this is my lemon yellow, my cooler yellow. And I'm using a round brush. And I can use that tip to get a nice edge. Now I'm adding water to that mixture of the lemon yellow. And that's going to lighten that up for me. Something in my paint, I could just pick it up. And then I'll add even more water to thin it out even more. So your goal is to be able to see a light, a medium, if you have to pick up some hue. You want to have a light, a medium, and a dark, a more saturated. It's not really dark, it's just a more saturated color. I might add a little bit more hue into the middle of there. Okay, so now I have my 2 yellows, my cool yellow, my warm yellow, and I'm going to create a mixture in between. So I'm getting a mixture of both the cad yellow and the lemon yellow. I'm always cleaning my brush before I dip it into the clean paint. And I'll move in here. I will go right up to the edge, but I'll try to avoid touching the paint if it's wet, because then that will only create bleed. So I'm going to allow a little bit of space between these 2 colors. Now I'm adding water to my paint mixture. I'll go in with and then I'll go in with a little bit more water. Okay, so we have our yellow mixes. So if I were to move along the right side of the color wheel, I'm going to move into the cool areas, which would be green to blue. And then I'll move into if I move to the left, I'm moving toward the warm areas, toward red. So if I were to look at my color wheel, I'm going to count. Let's see, I will have we're going to have a yellow orange, orange, red. I'm going to count. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll get to our red. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The sixth one over, this is where we will put our warm red. So I'll go into my Winsor red. I'm going to mix up over here the Winsor red. We got plenty of hue in there. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces over from my cad yellow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces, and I'm going to put in my cad red or Winsor red color. I'm going to add some water to that to thin it out. For a mid-tone red. Red has a lot of pigment in it, so you only need a little bit of red, goes a long way. You may have to pick up some extra. So I'm going to show you when you mix your yellow with your red, you're only going to add a little bit of red to the yellow. Keeping in mind, if you want to clean up your edges, you can do that with the tip of your brush. So now I want to create a mixture of my cad yellow with my cad red or the Winsor yellow, the Winsor red. I'm going to clean my palette. And if need be, you can also clean your color, clean your water. It's good to keep your water clean, that will keep your paints clean. So I'm going to mix up a new fresh batch of cad yellow because I want to create a pure orange with a mixture of cad red and cad yellow. I'm going to mix up a lot of yellow because I'm going to add a little bit of red to that. So I have my puddle of cad yellow, and I'll clean my brush before I dip it in the cad red, and I'll start by adding a little bit of red, a little at a time. Looks like I have a yellow orange at this point, but I want to get to an orange. Not a red orange, but an orange. Okay, so I'm going to go to the center. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in the center, I have my orange. And this orange is a mixture of the cad red and the cad yellow. I'm going to add a little water to that so I can get my mid-tone, and then a little bit more water to that to get my light tone. Okay, so now that I have my orange color, I'm going to move 2 steps over to create 2 yellow oranges. And then I'll move to the right to create red orange. So to my orange mixture, I'm going to add more cad yellow. So this will be my deeper hue. This is where I added more cad yellow to the orange. And then I'm going to add water to that for my mid-tone range. And more water to that for my light range. So now I want this to go even yellower, so I'm going to add more cad yellow to the orange to create another yellow orange. I'll add water to that. And more water. So I have a lighter yellow orange. And be careful to keep paint out of crossing over into the range to the right. Okay, so I will continue moving around the color wheel, and I will create 2 red oranges. I'm going to place my blue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 steps over. I'm going to have ultramarine blue, and then or the Windsor blue. I'll have my French ultramarine, step over 1. I'll have the Windsor blue. Here you can also put a cerulean blue or a Prussian blue. And then you will slowly be doing the same thing with mixes between the lemon yellow with the blue. You'll find the center point and create your green, and then off of your green you will move blue to blue-green, and then you'll go yellow-green from the yellow over. This will give you your cool side of your color wheel. And then once we have our ultramarine blue in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at this point, we'll start to move into the violet colors. Here again, I'm going to place, I don't want to forget that, our alizarin crimson. So I'm going to wet the alizarin crimson. Here we're working with, once again, our cool red. So this is how we can, this is a wonderful way of seeing how the cool and the warm yellows, reds, and blues work. So I'm going to come around, and this is our alizarin crimson. You can see it's a cooler red. It's not as hot. Then I'll add water to that. Could use some cleaner water. It might be affected, my color might be a little affected by the fact that my water is not clean. For the sake of the demo, I'm not going to run and get new water. But once the colors move into, once we add more water, you can see the coolness coming through from the alizarin. It's not as hot as the cad red. Okay, so then we'll mix those 2 colors together to create a mixture of the cad red and the alizarin crimson. And then once I put my blue in, I'll move around the color wheel just as I have done with the yellow.